Triad. I'm WFMY News 2 meteorologist Ed Matthews. Coming up on 9 a.m. on this Saturday morning. Thank you for joining me here on WFMY Plus. It's time to talk about our winter storm that's going to be unfolding later this afternoon and especially overnight tonight. And it's going to be with us pretty much all day on Sunday. Let's jump in and talk about things this morning. We'll switch over to Max 1 here and show you some graphics that will explain what your forecast team thinks is going to be happening over the next 48 hours or so. Of course, don't forget, later on today, our weather impact alert will go in effect. It will be from this evening all the way through Tuesday morning. I think this is the longest weather impact alert that we have had since we've been doing this. It's going to be quite a long time. Icy travel, could see widespread power outages across the area, a distinct possibility. And after the storm, after the precipitation stops, sometime late Sunday evening, then this really, really bitter, cold Arctic air is going to pour in. Now, we're going to be plenty cold for the duration of the storm, but even colder air is going to be working in behind the system. And by Tuesday morning, we're forecasting a low of 5 above zero, but that's only part of the story. Just a little bit of wind on Tuesday morning could send wind chills as low as 5 below zero. That is dangerously cold conditions for our part of the Piedmont, and it is very rare that we have wind chills that low. So make sure you've got all the supplies for several days of being stuck in your house, and also keep in mind that we are expecting, with the ice accumulation later tonight and tomorrow, widespread power outages. So many of us may unfortunately be in the dark for several days to come. Make sure you wrap those pipes. If you have any water pipes that are exposed, you got a few more hours to wrap those up. I think God has given us today the daylight hours to kind of wrap up getting prepared. But late afternoon and into the overnight period, the precipitation will really ramp up. This is our live winter radar. Look at all the snow that's going on out over the Midwest, some of that moving into western areas, Kentucky and Tennessee. But you look over western North Carolina and you say, oh my goodness, look how close the snow is. And yes, it is snowing way up there in the atmosphere, but I'm going to be talking about some incredibly dry air with low dew points. I'll have those graphics in just a minute. So a lot of this is being initially eaten up by very cold and very dry air as it moves into our part of the Piedmont. And I couldn't rule out a flurry or two this morning or early afternoon, but it looks as though this really ramps up mid to late afternoon, a little bit earlier than that over the mountains and foothills. And as we go through the evening hours, we could actually rack up several inches of snow before it changes over to sleet. And even so, we could have 1 to 2 inches of sleet, which is better than freezing rain. But the freezing rain is on the way. We think later tonight and during the day on Sunday, this storm is going to be more of an ice and freezing rainstorm for us. Look at all the advisories for winter weather that stretch from Texas and into New Mexico, all the way across the mid-Atlantic region, and that extends up into New England as well. And of course, here we have our share of winter weather alerts, winter storm warning for the Triad, but over just to our southwest, which would include our friends in Davie County and also Rowan County, and points on to the south and southwest under an ice storm warning. And that's where we could see some really, really big accumulation of freezing rain in those areas. But I think everybody is going to have an opportunity to get freezing rain before it's over with later tonight and tomorrow. Okay, let's talk about this incredibly dry air that is over us. These are the current dew points. winds. And just kind of a refresher course, remember, the lower the dew point, the drier the air. Look at this. We've got current dew points that are in the single digits. So when this snow falls through that very dry layer, and I've been checking the upper air weather soundings from Greensboro, they send up weather balloons around the country, and we're so fortunate to be one of those areas where they send up weather balloons at PTI in the morning and in the evening, and we get a vertical profile of the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is still pretty dry, but certainly very dry at the surface with these single-digit dew points. So when the snow falls, you see it on the radar, but it actually dries up before it reaches the ground. But once we saturate the ground later on this afternoon and tonight, various forms of wintry precipitation are going to be falling across the area. And look to our north. And our winds are from the northeast, so this even drier air is advecting into our part of the Piedmont. So initially, a lot of this precipitation is going to be kind of eaten up by the dry air. Look at Richmond, where the dew point is 9 below zero, and at Baltimore, it's 11 below zero. So again, this is an incredibly cold and dry air mass that is over our region. And we're already talking about wind chills. Now, the real dangerous wind chills will come early next week. In the wake of the storm, we'll have some gusty winds, not only on Monday, but on Tuesday as well. So we'll have some quite low dew points in the single digits and maybe a few degrees below zero. But just a little bit of wind this morning with temperatures into the mid and upper 20s, and those temperatures are not going to go anywhere, really. Just a little bit of wind giving us dew points 14 at PTI, 18 the dew point at Winston-Salem. It feels like 16 over at Burlington. And Danville, with a current temperature of 21, it feels like 8 degrees up there in Southside Virginia. Okay, we're going to switch over and look at our forecast radar, and we begin this around 5 o'clock this evening, starting to see at least some of that measurable precipitation move into the mountains and foothills, and that will continue to spread into our area around 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Things should really start to ramp up. But look what happens pretty quickly as we go into late evening and overnight tonight. All that purple that you see on the Futurecast is sleet. Yeah, sleet. I'd rather have sleet than to have freezing rain. But, we could rack up an inch or two of sleet before it changes over to rain. Now, the pink area represents where we see freezing rain. So we think by late tonight and tomorrow, I think Sunday is just going to be a day of maybe some sleet and snow mixed in, but the primary precipitation type is going to be freezing rain. And that's when we're going to start seeing ice accumulate on trees and power lines, and the potential is there for widespread power outages that will last for several days. And this will go on. This is around 5 o'clock on Sunday evening, and then finally later in the evening, the precipitation will move on out, and then additional Arctic air will continue to move in. So we've got the Arctic high up over the Great Lakes. We've got our low pressure that is moving out of the southern plains. That thing is going to track really pretty much right over our area and spread the precipitation in. But as the low gets a little bit closer, it will kind of help the mid-levels of the atmosphere to warm up. So that's the reason we're going to see a change over to sleet and then eventually freezing rain, although at the surface, temperatures are expected to stay well below freezing. So that's the reason we're going to have an ice accumulation here in the Piedmont. The low pressure moves away, but we're going to have windy conditions behind it, and again, additional Arctic air will spill into the region. So kind of recap what we're looking at. This is looking like a major ice storm for us, a combination of primarily sleet and ice. Be prepared to be stuck in your house for several days because of driving conditions that you shouldn't even really drive on. So if you got anywhere to go, there's no reason to go anywhere, because everywhere you go within a 500-mile radius is going to have very icy and dangerous conditions. And also, we are really concerned about the likelihood of power outages. The sleet impact, 2 to 3 inches of sleet, mainly north of I-40, and 1 to 2 inches south of I-40. And of course, that's going to contribute to the icy roads. Now, this is graphically showing snow amounts. Obviously, areas north and west of the Triad, precipitation will stay snow a little bit longer. So just north of Greensboro into southern Virginia and out over the northern foothills, we could rack up 1 to 2 inches, or I should say 2 to 4 inches of snow in those areas before it changes over to sleet and eventually freezing rain. In the Metro Triad and along the Interstate 85-40 corridor, we could rack up several inches of snow here, and only a coating towards and south of Asheboro over to Troy and Biscoe, into Montgomery and Moore, Lee counties. Those areas will probably get about an inch of snow before the changeover. Let's talk about the ice. Amazing ice amounts. 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch for the Triad, maybe a little bit more south of our area, and that's where we could see even more power outages south of I-40. Power outages, again, could last for days because they're going to be widespread. And you can see this area south of Greensboro towards Asheboro and Troy, where we expect anywhere from maybe 1/2 of an inch of ice or more. Lesser amounts, of course, north and west, as we're expecting more snow. So we will have an impact from sleet, ice, and dangerous travel, and power outages are going to be in the extreme category, and that is what we're really concerned about. Now, talked about once the storm moves out, and the different types of wintry precipitation we get should be out of here by later Sunday evening, and then this real big batch of bitterly cold Arctic air moves in, and we think the coldest morning will be Tuesday. Your forecast team is forecasting a morning low on Tuesday of 5 above zero. But look at these feel-like temperatures, or what we know as the wind chill. Yeah, we could have wind chills at or below zero. You can see there around 3:30, Danville could easily have 0 or negative wind chills. And this is dangerously bitter cold Arctic air, where in these type conditions, your skin can actually freeze in just a matter of minutes. And it will continue to be quite windy, not only on Monday, but that'll extend into Tuesday as well. Let's kind of recap the forecast. I'm going to go through this rather slowly so we can all kind of comprehend what's going on. Of course, the clouds are already here, maybe a flurry or two this morning through early afternoon, and then snow, maybe some sleet mixed in, but the atmosphere is plenty cold for snow right now initially. So we think as we head through the afternoon, we'll start to get some snow and sleet to develop out over the mountains and foothills. It will eventually reach the ground, and then mid to late afternoon and into the evening, we'll start to get some snow and maybe a little sleet in our part of the Piedmont. Temperatures today are going to go nowhere. We're going to pretty much hover in the mid and upper 20s, and again, wind chills today with maybe a 25 mile per hour wind gust. We could conceivably have some single-digit wind chills today. I think in general, wind chills for today will average into the low and mid-teens. And then we start to see kind of the changeover as the low pressure gets closer and we start to kind of change the temperature up above the ground in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. There'll be some snow overnight, but you'll see more of a transition to sleet and freezing rain with an overnight low of 18. That would give us wind chills in the single digits overnight tonight. During the day on Sunday, precipitation continues. We will have clouds, freezing rain all day long, and temperatures will stay in the low and mid-20s. Our weather impact alert goes into effect this afternoon. It will be with us all day Sunday and Monday. And even into Tuesday morning, because of icy roads, temperatures are not going to warm up really at all. We will rely on the sunshine to melt a little bit, only for it to refreeze overnight at night. And another big batch of Arctic air will work into the Piedmont as we go into the latter part of the week. Boy, oh boy, this one's going to be one to remember. You and your